Sarah slammed the door shut, the stale air inside her car now a haven compared to the terror outside. The man's face, etched with an unnatural calmness, pressed against the window. His hand, gnarled and impossibly long, scraped at the glass, leaving a trail of greasy grime. Sarah fumbled with the keys, her heart a hummingbird against her ribs. The engine roared to life, a beautiful, defiant sound. But before she could pull away, the man slammed his fist into the windshield. A sickening crack spiderwebbed across the glass, but held. Ignoring the growing ache in her leg from a forgotten scrape, Sarah reversed, tires screeching. The man, undeterred, lunged towards the back of the car, his elongated fingers scraping a grotesque melody against the metal. Tears blurred Sarah's vision as she slammed the car into drive, fishtailing out of the parking lot. She only dared glance back once, catching a glimpse of the solitary figure in the rearview mirror, illuminated by the harsh fluorescent lights of the deserted Walmart. Adrenaline coursed through her veins, fueling her panicked flight. Reaching the desolate stretch of highway, a chilling realization settled in. Her phone, nestled amongst the groceries, had died during the struggle. No way to call for help. The nearest gas station was miles away, its lonely neon sign mocking her predicament. The only light on the horizon was the faint glow of a 24-hour diner nestled at a dusty crossroads. Praying the car would hold out, Sarah pushed the engine, the dashboard lights a stark reminder of her dwindling gas. The diner loomed closer, a beacon of hope in the inky night. As she pulled into the parking lot, a sliver of relief washed over her. Inside, the diner was a tableau of solitude. A lone waitress, Betty, her hair dyed an improbable shade of red, hummed behind the counter, wiping down a chipped coffee mug. Relief flooded Sarah, so potent it made her legs wobble. "Oh, honey, you look like you've seen a ghost," Betty said, her voice thick with southern drawl. Sarah, her voice barely a whisper, recounted the terrifying encounter at Walmart. Betty's face, previously creased with a weary friendliness, hardened. "That sounds like old Man Jeb," she muttered, a grimace twisting her features. "Old Man Jeb?" Sarah gripped the chipped edge of the booth, dread replacing the fleeting warmth. "Who's Old Man Jeb?" she croaked. Betty set down a glass of steaming water with a shaking hand. "Jebediah Crow. Used to live out by the old abandoned mine. Folks say he's been touched in the head ever since the cave-in." Memories flickered in Sarah's mind. There had been whispers about a mine accident years ago, the victim a reclusive prospector named Jebediah Crow. But no one ever mentioned a living, breathing monster. "He's not supposed to leave the property," Betty continued, her voice barely above a whisper. "But sometimes the full moon makes him restless." A cold dread settled in Sarah's stomach. The moon, a sliver of silver in the black sky, hung mockingly outside the window. It was almost a full moon. Suddenly, the diner lights flickered, plunging the room into an unsettling darkness. Sarah screamed, heart hammering against her ribs. Then, a blood-curdling moan tore through the night, followed by a pounding on the diner door. "There he is," Betty whispered, her face ashen. The door creaked open, revealing the silhouette of a tall, gaunt figure. The diner windows pulsed with an eerie red glow as the full moon emerged from behind a veil of clouds. Panic turned to a desperate resolve within Sarah. Grabbing the glass of water, she flung it at the approaching figure. The water sizzled, turning to vapor before reaching its target. The moaning grew louder, a sound filled with an unnatural hunger. "He's afraid of silver," Betty yelled, her voice strained. Sarah's eyes darted around the diner, landing on a dusty trophy case hanging on the wall. Inside, a tarnished silver horseshoe gleamed under the red moonlight. With a surge of adrenaline, Sarah leaped onto the booth and smashed the glass case with her elbow. Grabbing the horseshoe, she charged towards the approaching figure. Jeb, bathed in the crimson moonlight, looked like a creature from a nightmare. But as Sarah flung the silver horseshoe with all her might, it clattered harmlessly off his chest. A guttural growl erupted from Jeb, a sound that promised a slow and agonizing death. Suddenly, a loud bang resonated outside. Police sirens wailed in the distance, the sound growing closer. Startled, Jeb stumbled back, his attention drawn to the approaching lights. Using the momentary distraction, Sarah scrambled back towards Betty. The diner door burst open, revealing a young police officer, flashlight cutting through the gloom. Jeb, momentarily blinded, roared in frustration. The officer, clearly startled, stumbled back, aiming his gun at the monstrous figure. "Stay back," he yelled, his voice trembling. Jeb lunged, but Sarah screamed, "He's afraid of silver. Shoot the horseshoe." The officer, momentarily confused, took in the scene. Sarah, her face streaked with tears and fear, the grotesque figure illuminated by the red glow, and the silver horseshoe lying discarded on the floor. With a quick decision, he fired a single shot, the bullet ricocheting off the horseshoe and embedding itself in Jeb's shoulder. A shriek of pain ripped through the diner. Jeb clutched his shoulder, smoke curling from the wound. He seemed to shrink back, the unnatural glow emanating from him dimming. The officer, emboldened, fired another shot, this time hitting Jeb in the leg. Jeb crumpled to the ground, a low growl escaping his throat. The diner lights flickered back on, bathing the room in a harsh white light. The red glow from the moon seemed to retreat, replaced by the silvery light filtering through the windows. As more police officers swarmed in, Sarah sank into the booth, drained. The officer who had fired the shots approached her, his face etched with concern. "Are you all right, ma'am?" he asked, his voice kind. Sarah could only nod, tears welling up again. She recounted the terrifying encounter at Walmart, the frantic drive, and the horrifying scene at the diner. As the police questioned Betty and secured the scene, Sarah sat wrapped in a police blanket, the tremors slowly subsiding. News of the incident spread like wildfire the next day. Reports confirmed the existence of Jebediah Crow, a hermit who had gone missing after the mine collapse years ago. The story of Sarah's harrowing escape and the police intervention, albeit bizarre, made headlines. But for Sarah, the experience lingered. The image of Jeb's monstrous form, the blood-curdling screams, and the helpless terror, these became a part of her. She had faced something unimaginable that night, something that defied explanation. Weeks later, Sarah received a package in the mail. Inside, a small, tarnished silver horseshoe nestled in velvet. A card was attached, simply reading, "Thank you, Betty." Beneath it, a phone number. Sarah stared at the card, a bittersweet feeling washing over her. The encounter had changed her, leaving a scar on her soul. But it had also shown her a strength she never knew she possessed. And perhaps, somewhere deep down, it had sparked a curiosity about the unexplained. The things that lurk in the shadows, just beyond the reach of our understanding.
Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe for more similar horror stories.